Hello AOS fans, Robin here from the Age of Sigmar, and I just wanted to make a little video which is a little bit sad, but I hope you'll forgive me, and I hope you'll forgive me a bit slightly conceited making this video and thinking that people might want to watch it, but I actually want to pay tribute to my dad, who passed away on the 30th of June, and I suppose has thrown me into a little bit of hobby disarray, and I suppose this video is almost like a bit of catharsis to try and get my hobby mojo started again after dealing with the various things that come with a loved one passing away, both the emotional things and the practical things. So here we go. I just want to talk about my dad and his influence on me and the hobby. I've kind of been thinking about where Pete and I want to take the channel, or we have been thinking about it, and I want to make more personal pieces. I suppose it doesn't really get much more personal than this, but we'd like to talk about our hobby influences and where we're going, and talk about some of the kind of themes around hobby going forward. So this seems to be like a good place to start, and kind of as a baseline, because obviously everything is very raw at the moment, and I've really been thinking about my hobby and what it means to me. And the reason is that my dad very much instilled a lot of my values, but also my love of this hobby in me. As you know, I write for Geek Dad, and I think the tagline for Geek Dad is raising generation 2.0. But actually, when I think about it, I'm 2.0, so my kids are 3.0, because my dad, he was an actuary. If you know what an actuary is, but it's like a statistician, sort of super mathematical, supernumerate. My dad used to program early computers, and he collected miniatures. He used to play, I don't know if he ever played, but he used to collect Napoleonic War miniatures. He had hundreds of them when I was growing up, and I used to love. He used to get them out for me. You know, get them all in shoe boxes with tissue paper, which is probably why I do the same. And I used to love it when he had the time to get them out and show them to me. And I guess that probably was the beginning of sort of where my hobby love started. And so, I mean, he also was a big fan of the Lord of the Rings, so he used to read to me. He read me The Hobbit, and then after The Hobbit, he then kind of introduced me to the Lord of the Rings. I don't remember if he ever read me the Lord of the Rings. I think I went off and read that very slowly on my own, but he was there to talk to me about it, and you know, we had a great love of that. We used to listen to the BBC radio adaptation in the car, and so we really bonded over that, and so we loved Lord of the Rings. And actually one of my first Games Workshop, I've talked about it before, one of my first Games Workshop experiences, or Citadel Miniatures experiences, was with the very early Citadel range, and they did Lord of the Rings figures. I remember we went down to Southend-on-Sea. I was living in Essex at the time, and there was a game shop there, and I bought Middle-earth role-playing and some, I think I can't remember which ones, maybe a Goblin on a Warg, and a Rohirrim, I think, for my birthday money, which then my dad then painted for me, and he was very instrumental in getting me into role-playing games. It's quite funny, I didn't really realise the significance of this at the time. He borrowed Dicing with Dragons by Ian Livingstone from a friend at work. I never really thought about that, actually. Dad's friends at work, obviously probably mostly actuaries, very geeky in themselves, probably were into role-playing and that kind of stuff. So he bought me that, and I pored over it, looking and trying to work out what role-playing game I should buy. I had a friend who had Dungeons and Dragons, so I didn't want to buy that because a friend already had it. In the end, I settled for Traveller. Some may say it's a wonder I'm actually still here, but we really enjoyed our games of Traveller. I don't think we ever played it properly, but we did really enjoy our games of Traveller. And then that kind of led into Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, but before that, the Citadel Miniatures led into Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which my dad was really into. He was big on Napoleonic history, but he loved his medieval history too. He had lots of books on medieval history, and so he loved talking to me about that. So that's partly why I ended up playing Empire and Bretonnia, because they kind of had some basis in real world fact, and so I enjoyed that aspect of talking about it with my dad. He was interested in that. He wasn't so interested in the sort of more fantastic elements, despite being a Lord of the Rings fan. He was really interested in the kind of like the arquebusiers. He taught me what an arquebus was. He told me, so he explained to me what a halberd and a pike was, and the differences of them were, and how they sort of interacted in warfare and that kind of stuff. And he told me what were the kind of influences were for the Empire soldiers, like your Tylian and crossbowmen, and I can't remember what they were now, but they're various different factions from the Empire and beyond. And so he taught me all that. So I was kind of very close to him with that. Which I think is why my hobby has taken a little knock. I've been trying to do some stuff on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and stuff on Soulbound videos for you guys. I just haven't had the heart, I suppose, to do them, because that is kind of central to the relationship I have with my dad, that he loved hearing about all the sort of German sounding names of the old world. So that's why I'm a fantasy roleplay. And Soulbound, the new hotness. I mean, he was too ill, unfortunately, to ever understand what Age of Sigmar was and Soulbound was. But he would be interested if he were 20 years younger. So those things really sort of strike at my heart, really, when I'm doing them. But I'm gradually getting there. Somebody left a very nice comment on one of my Soulbound videos this morning, which made me think I really must pick those up again and carry on with them. So his passing then has knocked the wind from my sails a little, mostly because his geekiness was very much part of me and kind of drove me on. My mum never got it at all. She didn't really see the point in it. She'd say, "Oh, I'm a Capricorn. What am I interested in that for?" I never really understood that. But she very much kind of hoped I'd stop, I think. So she's probably not overly pleased that I'm still here making videos and what have you. But horses for courses. I'm still here and loving it. And I think she thought it was a fad, and it wasn't. And one of the reasons it wasn't a fad, because my dad was right there, not quite cheering me on, but quietly in the background, interested, wanted to know what was happening. Obviously, I've been away from the hobby and come back, but I was always. The core of the heart of it was to my dad and telling my dad about it, which was always really nice. And we still used to talk about the Lord of the Rings, even right up to when he was poorly. That and Tottenham Hotspur, which is less geeky. So all that kind of got me thinking about the hobby and what it means. And I feel a little bit, I'm going to get massively on my soapbox now, I feel a little bit with this Indomitus release and some of the other stuff that's happened around the Games Workshop announcement around diversity, that the hobby has become divisive, something that should be really fun and bring people together, like it did me and my dad and me and Pete and loads of people across the world, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of feels a bit divisive. The Indomitus release, for whatever reasons, has been a bit of a snafu. I mean, the just not enough numbers already, people buying them as fast as possible. It almost seems to be like a race to the top to get stuff, which for me is not what the hobby should be about. And it was about following your passion, I guess, and sharing it with people. I'm not knocking people who've been chasing the Indomitus box. It's a gorgeous box, and people enjoy it, get the hobby enjoyment out of it. But I sometimes feel like part of the hobby is becoming complaining about stuff or acquiring stuff, which for me is not what it should be about. And I suppose I've been reflecting on that with the passing of my dad. I'd love to share stuff with him again, and it's really not about what you can get. It's about that sharing and that joint experience. So I hope that's not too preachy, and thank you for listening. If you have listened this far, I'm trying to get back into the hobby. Pete and I have still been recording our live chats, and we will of course carry on playing Underworlds. That's fine. It's kind of those extra bits around it, for the extra bits around the channel, which I haven't quite got the energy for at the moment. But I will hopefully be back soon. And I just wanted to sort of say thank you, Dad, because without him I wouldn't be here. And thank you for you guys for listening. Otherwise, I'd just be a man in my garage talking to a camera. And I suppose I would like to shape content that I guess could be like a legacy of the stuff that me and my dad got out of the hobby. That would be my hope going forward. I'll try and make stuff that he would have been proud of. He probably wouldn't have understood why people watched people on YouTube doing stuff, but stuff that he could be proud of and kind of epitomise what he loved with his miniature collecting and his military history and all that kind of stuff, and sharing it with his kids, or his son at least. And so that's what I'll be looking for going forward on the channel. So yeah, thanks everybody. Please enjoy your hobby. Take every moment you can to share it with those you love, because it's very rewarding, and we all love it. So take care, and I know lots of people have lost loved ones during this horrible pandemic. Hopefully it'll be over soon, so hopefully we can start meeting people in the open again, and sharing the things that we love. But until then, I want everybody to take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.